Jaylen Brown left off of Team USA, and the fallout continues. I find it a fascinating story. I think it really sort of dives into, sort of the NBA world and the personality-driven soap opera nature, cattiness, underbelly a little bit of basketball in this country, and shoe money, and personality conflicts, and that. I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, but you know what I mean, Maz. That whole thing.
Of course.
Jaylen Brown is not on Team USA, and it's not basketball related. I don't care what you say. That is not basketball related. It's something else related.
What about Derek White's defense?
And is it shoe money? You're hearing from Big Jim Murray, who rejoins us this week. Hi, Jim.
Hi, Mike. Hello.
Murray's back.
Yes.
Why do you think Jaylen Brown was left off of Team USA in favor of Derek White or Drew Holiday or anyone else? Why is he not there?
Let me pose it to you both as a question. Does Jaylen Brown to you seem like a go-along to get-along type of dude? Or does he come off as the type that's really got a lot of thoughts and things to say? And he's going to use this opportunity, potentially, to talk about those things. And his heart's probably in the right place. But to a lot of guys, and you were just mentioning the cliquey nature of the NBA, I think it's the clickiest of all the professional sports leagues that we have in this fine country of ours. At some point, that becomes exhausting. And at some point, these guys who are brands and they're brand ambassadors, and they're certainly brand ambassadors for Nike, who was essentially running USA Basketball, they look around and roll their eyes and say, not Jaylen. It doesn't matter if he was the MVP of the conference final. It doesn't matter if he was the MVP of the finals. And congratulations. He's also our teammate, if I'm saying this as Jason Tatum or Derek White. But guys, can we just have a good time here and not make this about saving the world? And again, his heart's probably in the right place with a lot of this stuff. The save the world types, though, to a lot of regular ass people and guys that are really only worried about the bottom line and their paycheck and their brand and being brand ambassadors, it gets to be too much. And that's why I think he's not there. The reason? Jaylen Brown's a pill. Jaylen Brown's a pill. If these guys wanted him there, he'd be there.
And you
Period. End of story.
And you mean the players?
Yeah.
You think it's a player thing?
Yep, 100%. I think this is like the guy who starts to get into socialism a lot in college, and you're having a college party, and you mostly like this dude, and this dude actually knows a lot of hot girls, and he comes from money. He's a good dude for the most part, but when he's around, it's just, well, guys, you know what? I've been reading about Marxism, and we really should talk about this. Can we just have a good time, man? Hit the bong, have a good time, lighten the F up. And again, his heart's probably in the right place with all this, but these save the world types, I think it becomes a bit too much. And I think for these players, whether it's Steph Curry, even Jason Tatum, LeBron, whoever, they've got their bottom line to worry about. And if Jaylen Brown gets this stage, this world stage, I think he would use this as an opportunity to talk about the things that are important to him and what's going on in the world. And these guys are like, guys, just can we focus on the basketball and being in Paris and winning the gold and doing all these international Instagram models? Does it have to be about saving the world right now? Put a sock in it, and that's why he's not there. He's a pill. I think Jaylen Brown is looked at by his peers as a bit too much right now.
I don't know why this terminology didn't occur to me yesterday. I think it was a corporate decision. To me, that's how I would put it. I buy into the Nike thing. I'm sorry, that tweet yesterday with Nike, what are we doing? When Jaylen Brown put that out, right then I said he heard something from somebody on the inside. He talked to somebody who was out there, with the team, again, Tatum or whoever else, said, yeah, Nike stepped in. They didn't want you here. And so he threw it out there. That's what I think. I think it was more of a corporate thing. I don't doubt that he rubbed some players the wrong way, but that thing about, the covering up the Nike logo and, no shoe contract and all of that, that is corporate. That is a corporate decision.
Okay, so it continued today. Apparently, Jim, I don't know, have you guys logged in? Are you online? Yeah. So, Jaylen Brown, again, the monocle emoji, and we're going to look into this emoji, and then this is what we doing. Hey, at Nike, this is what we doing yesterday. Today, he followed up with, do you have the exact thing in front of you?
Yes. I'm not afraid of you or your resources from 2 hours ago on Twitter. Now, who's the you and your?
I'm not afraid to you. I'm not afraid of you or your resources. Who the hell is he talking to there? Is that Nike? I'm taking on the man? Is it Stephen A., who he's had a back and forth with now for a while?
Could be Stephen A., but maybe he meant sources and said resources?
No, I'm not afraid of you or your resources.
Resources.
Yeah.
Resources.
Your endless amounts of money, Nike.
So it's Nike, or it could be Stephen A, because Stephen A's taking a victory lap now, which I would be too if I were him. I mean, the whole thing started during the conference final when Stephen A came out in the middle of a discussion. Like, he got texted in the middle of a discussion something. And remember this? Go ahead.
I wanted to read to y'all what an NBA source just sent me. He said, Jaylen Brown, it's not so much that he's underrated. It's that he's just not liked because of his, quote, I am better than you attitude. He knows it. It's the same reason he is not as marketable as he should be. That's what an NBA source just sent me. I don't know that to be the case. I like Jaylen Brown. I know a lot of people that like Jaylen Brown. But, again, when you think about marketability, that's what that person was alluding to.
Just not liked. It's his I'm smarter than you attitude. It's part of the reason why he's not marketed. So that's a player thing. Well, I mean, I guess it's a player thing. It's also a corporate thing, but tied into one big bow. Like, that's why he's not here. So anyway, Stephen A started that in the conference final. Jaylen Brown responded, who is your sources? He wore the T-shirt. Yeah, Stephen A. And then it turns out Jaylen Brown gets passed over like a couple different times for Team USA. So what's this about?
It's not a basketball. That's like the last thing on the list.
No,
it's not even on the.
I put up an immediate brick wall with that. Well, it's about Derek White's defense. Stop it. This is like whiny Celtics fanboy nonsense. No. It's really about the defense. It has nothing to do with his personality or anything like that. Please. The guy just won MVP in the conference final and the NBA finals. From a basketball standpoint, it's wild that he didn't get selected to this team.
The Celtics just had the most dominant end-to-end season in the NBA in some time. Runaway NBA champion. Jaylen Brown won the conference MVP and the finals MVP. And Team USA took 3 players from the Celtics to be on the Olympic team. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't one of them. And you're going to try and tell me that it was for basketball reasons?
No, you just don't understand ball.
I mean...
No, they needed a role player.
Grow up, people. Please.
No, they totally snubbed him. He has a right to be agitated because to me, there's no question he got snubbed.
I mean, this kind of it does speak a little bit to the insidiousness that underlies basketball. And I think it applies, shoe money, I think more specifically.
Huge.
Infiltrated that sport, and Nike controls that sport more than any other. And I mean, I don't know why, but it just works out that way. Shoes are a very visible, important thing on the basketball floor. So, like, what shoe you wear and the Jordans and, like, I don't know. It's just Nike influences that thing more than any other sport. So there's some confluence here of the personality-driven nature of the sport and the clickiness of the sport and the shoe money. And I think these things have sort of combined to really produce a very... I think unsavory result. You got one of the best players in the league, not allowed, not chosen to be on the Olympic team because of that other crap. That's a bad look for USA basketball. It's a bad look for the nature of the sport in this country. It's just a bad look. What are we doing? Are we picking the best players to go represent the country? Or are we playing these corporate personality-driven games?
No, corporate personality-driven games.
Like, come on.
And again, I'm sorry, I do put the corporate stuff first because of the money. There's some sort of huge economic influence issue with Nike and USA Basketball, and I say, some sort of. It's pretty cut and dried in terms of the relationship and the nature of the relationship. Nike doesn't want Jaylen Brown there, and USA Basketball nodded and said, okay, no problem. We can take Derek White anyway. They don't need another superstar.
The undercurrent of the league, and this is what you're seeing. It's clout with Nike, cash from Nike and these corporate sponsors, and bitchiness. Like, it really is. Like, that's the NBA now.
I'm not afraid of you or your resources. Is that to Stephen A. or is that to Nike? I'm gonna lean towards Nike. But it could be Stephen A. And Stephen A. is pushing back and fighting for his original report. And I've listened to a bunch of Stephen A. stuff recently, last month on this. He defends Jaylen Brown. He likes Jaylen Brown. He thinks Jaylen Brown should get the marketing dollars, should get the shoe contract money, should be recognized. What he's fighting for is the source that texted him in the middle of that conversation that said, well, It's not that he's underrated. He's not liked, and that relates to his marketing. And Stephen A. wants to defend his report. So it sounds like Stephen A. is going at Jaylen Brown. He's really not. Stephen A. is going after the people who've attacked him for his report, and he's defending his report. So just whether that matters to you or not, that's sort of what's going on there. But I don't know how Jaylen Brown takes it. Jaylen Brown clearly is going after Stephen A. with the state your sources thing. So who knows? Combination of both of these things, but it's just such a uniquely NBA story. I mean, you just don't get this in any other sport. You just don't. You don't ever hear like the U.S. hockey team, a guy going because he wears,
Bauer
CCM versus Bauer, or is that a Rawlings glove or is that a Mizuno glove? Like you just don't like it. Just doesn't exist. Are you wearing Rydell pads? Or you got the other, I can't even think of the other football, what kind of helmet are you wearing? Well, yeah, you don't endorse that one, so I don't know. Like, you got to cover up the logo of this one to wear that one. None of that stuff exists in any other sport except for this one. And Jaylen Brown, I think, fell victim to it. And it's not a good story for the sport. Like, what really runs your sport? What's going on there? Like, come on. Okay, second question, and we'll answer it on the other side. Is Jaylen Brown being a bad teammate by pushing back on this? Is he throwing Derek White under the bus? When he tweets yesterday at Nike, this is what we're doing? I think that's what it was.
Right, yeah. Yes.
At Nike, this is what we're doing? There's another way to read that. And the other way to read that is, hey, Nike, or hey, basketball, we're taking that guy? Meaning Derek White?
Yep.
You're choosing that guy? Because that's the tone of that thing. This is what we're doing. We're taking that guy, your teammate, Derek White.
Correct.
Is Jaylen Brown being a bad teammate on top of it all?
A little bit. If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Maz here. For more Celtics analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.